The sun rose over the plains of Canaan, casting long shadows across the barren, cracked earth. Before the people of Israel stood a city unlike any other, Jericho, an ancient fortress, its walls towering, unbreakable, thick as fortresses of stone, fortified by centuries of fear. Men on the battlements laughed as the ragged army below dared to approach. Israel was small, tired, worn from years in the wilderness. No chariots, no siege towers, no weapons of great renown. All they carried was a promise and the presence of the living God. Joshua, their leader, stood in silence, his eyes not fixed on the walls, but on the command God had given him. March around the city once each day for 6 days. Take the Ark of the Covenant. Let the priests blow the trumpets of ram's horns. Say not a word until I tell you, and then shout. It made no earthly sense. No commander would dare it, but this was no earthly battle. And so the march began each day as the sun climbed higher. They rose from camp and marched, silent, orderly, 7 priests leading the way, carrying trumpets of ram's horn. The Ark of the Covenant, where God's very glory dwelled at the center. The people of Jericho mocked. From the safety of their walls, they hurled insults and stones. But Israel kept marching, silent, obedient, trusting not in their strength, but in His. Day after day, around and around, dust rising with each footstep, the only sound, the soft, eerie call of the ram's horns. And then came the 7th day, before the first light pierced the horizon. Joshua gathered them close. Today was different. Today they would march 7 times. Today, God would move. With aching legs and burning lungs, they marched. Once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, each step a prayer, each lap a declaration. We believe you, God. And then, the 7th time, Joshua raised his hand. The priests blew their trumpets with all their might, and Joshua cried out, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." Thousands of voices lifted into the heavens, a roar of faith, of obedience, of desperation and hope. The ground itself seemed to tremble. The walls, those mighty, impenetrable walls, shuddered, cracked, split apart like paper before a rushing wind. Stone crumbled. Gates collapsed. Jericho, fortress of fear, lay in ruins without lifting a sword. Israel took the city because God fought for them. And today, America stands before walls too, walls of anger, walls of division, walls built not with stones, but with pride, injustice, rebellion against God. We march around walls of fear, in our homes, in our schools, in our cities. And like Israel, the answer is not in louder arguments, not in human strength, not in political battles. The answer is simple. The answer is ancient faith, obedience, surrender. If we will humble ourselves, if we will march in prayer, if we will lift our voices not in hate, but in hope, then once again, God will tear down the walls. Because America's hope has never been in kings or armies. America's hope has always been, and will always be, in the living God. The battle of Jericho was real, and so is the battle for the soul of a nation. Today, you and I are called to march, not with swords, but with hearts of courage, and when we do, the walls will fall.